Hello, this is Rahim Alamin welcoming you all to our second tutorial of Python. In our first tutorial, we discussed about the basic arithmetic operations and we learned about the conditional statements like if-else. Today we will try to learn about loops and later we will discuss about the list. So first, let's see how the loop works. So loops are used to repeat any action. So if we have some statements that need to be executed multiple times by satisfying a condition, we need a loop. These statements are executed sequentially, so the first statement will execute first, followed by the second one, and so on. In Python, we basically use while and for loops, but the syntaxes are different from other languages. So let's start with while loop. A while loop repeats a statement or a group of statements while the given condition is true. And we all know that while loop checks the condition before executing the body of the loop. So if we want to print the even numbers starting from 2 up to 20 using a while loop, we need to write a function. So let's write a function then. So let's give a name of the function as even. Okay, then we need a variable. So let's declare a variable, and in Python we don't need to declare the data type of the variable. So the variable is a and we are initializing it with 2 because we need to print the even numbers from 2 up to 20. So then we need a loop, which is a while loop. So we write while, and a condition. So we need to print up to 20. So a needs to be less than or equal to 20. Then we need to print those numbers. So print a followed by a space. So this will create a space after printing each number. And then we need to increment the variable as we want to print only the even numbers. We are incrementing the variable by 2. Then we need to print a new line. So just print statement, print function, and then we will print end of operation or just end. It's actually nothing, just printing another line. So let's load this code to the IPython console, write the name of the function, that's even, and it prints the even numbers starting from 2 up to 20, and after printing each number it prints a space 2, 4, 6, 8 and so on. So let's do another example with while loop. Suppose we need to count down from 10 to 1 using a while loop. So we are defining another function called count. Okay, count will have a new variable, that is b, and we are initializing it with 10. Then we need a while and a condition. So we want to print from 10 to 1, so b must be greater than 0 because we are printing till 1, not the 0. Okay, then print the number b followed by a space. So an end will do, and we need to decrement the variable by 1. Okay, Then we will print a new line by just using the print function, and then we will just write that we have done it. So end. So now load this code, write the name of the function, count, and it will print 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and so on up to 1, and then it will print an end. Now sometimes we might get stuck with a never-ending loop. If we face this kind of situation where a loop never ends, we can force stop the console of IPython by keyboard interruption. So if we press Ctrl C, it will have an interrupt from the keyboard and it will stop the iteration. Like in this example, if we don't write the decrement operation, so the loop will print just 10 over and over again, and this loop will never end, I'm afraid. So let's load this function once again, write the name of the function and press enter. It will print 10, 10, 10, and the loop will never end actually until you press Ctrl C. So if we press Ctrl plus C, it will create a keyboard interrupt and the iteration will be forcefully stopped. So we can also close the IPython console in this kind of situation. So if we close, after some time it will automatically create another console for you, and we can also do it from the console tab. Just go to the console and open an IPython console, and you can also use this shortcut Ctrl T, but this is not actually a good practice, so we will never forcefully close the console. We will just make or create a keyboard interrupt in this kind of situation. But if we need to break a loop intentionally, we can use the control statements like the break statements. So the break statements actually terminate the loop immediately and pass the execution to the following statements. So let me show you how a break statement is used. So in this example, after printing 5, I want to stop the iteration. So we will write a condition: if b is equal to 4, then break. So after printing 5, b will be decremented to 4, and if b is equal to 4, then we will break the loop. So let's load this code to the IPython console, and once again write the name of the function. See, after printing 5, it decrements the variable by 1 and makes it 4, and we wrote a condition: if b is equal to 4, then break the loop and go to the next statement, that's print a new line and then print end. So that's how we can use a break statement or a control statement to actually stop the iteration intentionally. Now we come to for loop. A for loop executes sequence of statements multiple times using an iterator to determine how many times to go through or to execute. The iteration or the iterator that is used in for loop is the range function. This function has 3 arguments or parameters. The first value indicates where to start, the second value indicates where to stop, and the third value is for the steps. So let me show you an example. So we okay. So we want to define a function that is called even2 that will print all the even numbers starting from 2 up to 20, like we did it before using a while loop. We'll now do it using a for loop. So we want to print all the even numbers starting from 2 up to 20 using a for loop. So we write for, we need a loop variable that's suppose a. So for a in, then we use the iterator, that is range function. In range, then we have 3 arguments. First indicates where to start. We will start from 2. Then the second argument will indicate where to stop. So we will stop at 20. So we will write 21 because we want to print up to 20. So that's why we wrote 21, and we will print all the even numbers. So the step will be 2. So that's how we write the conditions, and then we want to print those numbers, and those numbers will be stored in the variable a. So we will print a followed by a space once again. So an end will do, and then we print a new line, a print function, and then we will print that we have done it. So we'll print an end of operation. So load this code to the Python console, write the name of the function, that's even2, and we printed all the even numbers starting from 2 and ends in 20. So make sure we are writing here 21 because we want to stop at 20. So that's up to 20. That's why we wrote 21 here. So that's how a for loop works. So try the later example like we did for the while loop. So we want to count down from 10 to 1 using a for loop. So we define another function that is count2, and we will be using a for loop. So for b in range, again we are using the iterator, the range function. So we will start at 10, we will stop at 1, so we are writing 0, that's up to 0, and we will step through by 1, so it's -1. We are decrementing the value. So now we just need to print the number, and the numbers are stored in the variable b, and we will print a space, and then we will print new line, and then we will print end. So let's load it to the Python console. write the name of the function we defined, count 2, press enter, and it prints 10, 9, 8, 7, and so on, and ends in 1. So that's basically the loops. So now we will discuss about a basic data structure in Python called the list. It's actually more like an array, but the main difference is in arrays we basically have homogeneous values. That means values which are of same data types. But in list we can have various values of different data types, like we can have an integer, a character, a string, a float, and so on. So we write a list as a list of comma separated values or items between a square bracket. So let's make some lists. So we write A, that's a list of lists with one element. That will create a list with one element, and that's A. We can have more elements like A, comma, B. That's the list of two elements. We can have numbers in a list like 3, -3, then 3.14. So see, we are having different types of data. Like we can have integers, we can have float values, and we can also have a string or a character R, and so on. So let's now make a list and try to learn some basic operations on it. So we will be defining a list called list, and it will have some values. Let's do it with A, then B, then C, separated by commas, D, and E. So we can do a lot of things in this list. So, and one thing I want to mention, that the indexing always starts with 0 in lists. So load it to the IPython console. So if we want the first element of the list, we will just write list, and we want to find the first elements, and the indexing starts with 0. So if we write list 0, it will return the first value of the list we have created. So the first value of the list is A, so it's returning A. So we want the second value, so list 1, list of index 1, I mean items with index 1 in that list will be printed now. So the item with index 1 is B. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can print any item using just the indexes. So we can also find the length of the list by using the len function, len. So we just write len, len of the list we have created, that's list. So if you write len of list, then it will return the length of the list we have created. So the length of the list is 5. So we have actually 5 values in the list. So if now I ask you to find the last item or the last value stored in the list, we can write list 5. Will it work? No, because it will not work, because the indexing starts with 0 and the last item is indexed with 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will not actually work. So the trick is just put a -1 that will start counting the list items from the last. So if we write list -1, it will return the last value or the last item in the list. And if we write list -2, it will return the second last, sorry, -2. It will return the second last value stored in the list. So the second last value is D. We can also append a new item or a new value in the list by using the append function. To do that, we just need to write the name of the list we have created, that is list. So list dot append, we will be using this function append, and then the argument will be the value we want to store. So we want to append f, so we write list dot append f. And if we now print the list, it will return the new list with f in it. So now find the length of the newly created list. So length of list will be now 6, because there are 6 items in the new list. So now we may want to know the items from 2 to 4. So we write list 2 colon 4. Okay, this will print, or this will give us the item 2 and 3, but not the item 4. That's up to 4. So this will print only C and D. So this is 0, item 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. I mean, in the new list, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So it prints only the item number with indexes 2 and 3, but not 4. And if you write list colon 4, it will print all the items up to 4. So it will print A, B, C, and D. That's 0, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and it's not printing the item with index 4. So that's up to 4. And if we write list 2 colon, it will print all the items starting from 2. So it will print C, D, E, and F. So C is with index 2. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So it starts from 2 and ends with the last item of the list. So we can also find if an item is there in the list or not. So if we write A in, the name of the list is list. So if we write A in list, it will return a Boolean value, true or false. A is in the list, so it returns true. If we write Z in list, Z is not in the list, so it will return that it's false, it's not in the list. So that's how a list works. So now we will create a new list and step through the items of that list using a loop. Okay, so it's a very easy example, easy code. So we will make a list of the districts of Bangladesh. So we define the name of the list as Bangladesh. Bangladesh will have the districts like Dhaka, then Khulna, then Rangpur, then Borishal, Okay, that's enough. So this is a list. This is a new list called Bangladesh, and it has items like the districts like Dhaka, Khulna, Rangpur, Borishal, etc. So we now want to um, step through this list using a loop. So we define a function. Let's call it district, and this function will have a list as a parameter. Okay, then we will step through all the items or the values of the list using a for loop. So we write for and the loop variable, that is ct. So for ct in list, the list that we are passing in this function, so it will step through the list that we give to the function. So for ct in list, we will just print the ct. Okay, that will step through all the values in the list we create. So just load this function or code and write the name of the function, that is district, and we will give a list into the function, and the list is Bangladesh. So we write Bangladesh. So it will step through all the items that are stored in the list called Bangladesh and print it with a for loop. So it will print all the items like Dhaka, Khulna, Rangpur and Borishal. So that's all for now. Keep practicing and enjoy data science.